Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation. I'm going to talk about a cross-selling campaign. The project is called Having Your Cake and Eating It Too, investigating the effects of cross-selling in the freemium context through a field experiment. This is a joint project with Stacey, Malek from Erasmus University, Andrew Petersen, Penn State, Amanda Yamim from Grenoble École de Management, and Ali Nadalizadeh from Turned On Digital. Now, what's freemium? Freemium is a business model on the internet whereby basic services are provided free of charge with more advanced features are paid for. Examples are Dropbox, LinkedIn, Spotify, Skype, Pokemon Go, and Fortnite. In freemium, you have two main sources of revenues. You have in-app purchases and in-app time. And customers do not have to pay money to play. As such, freemium becomes a lower risk purchase context. Now in freemium, what's important is retention or in-app time and in-app purchase. As you can see, on average, the in-app purchase is around 5% and retention is pretty low as well. In this gaming context, retention, a 90-day retention is less than 4%. The reason we focused on games is that in games, especially, the majority of the game business models is indeed freemium. Now, what do we know about cross-selling? Well, cross-selling occurs when a firm offers additional products and services to existing customers. However, research has primarily focused on the implementation of cross-selling in higher risk purchase contexts, like financial services and retail environments. Perceived risk should play an important role in customer adoption and engagement, though. Now, here we have time as one of the monetizations that the company can have. In a lower risk purchase context, customers invest mainly time versus money. If a customer invests time, they have a personal connection with the offer because time is equivalent to personal identity. The impact of cross-selling in a lower risk context. What do we mean by lower risk context? Let me give you some examples. Low price, trial offers, flexible product return policies, rent to own, and freemium games. The impact of cross-selling in these low risk purchase contexts is quite unclear. We don't know the effect of the customer's intrinsic and extrinsic motivations to cross-adopt when perceived risk is low. Now, one of the reasons companies might not want to do cross-selling is fear of cannibalization. We know very little about the consequences of cross-selling. We don't know the effect of it on the existing product or on the new product. Some research suggests that new products can both cannibalize and promote the consumption of the existing product. And in this research, we want to see which is the case. No research, to the best of our knowledge, has shown the impact of a cross-selling campaign on both the promoted or the existing or the new and the existing offers. And from a behavioral perspective, the received reward also serves to enforce the behaviors that lead to gaining the rewards in the first place. Now, let me give you some definitions. Total engagement is the time and money a user spends with the brand across the brand's product offering. So that's across the new and existing. Dispositional engagement is the time and money spent with the brand's existing offering prior to the cross-selling campaign. Situational engagement is the time and money spent with the existing and the cross-promoted offering as a result of a cross-selling campaign. And cannibalization of engagement happens if there is reduced time and money spent with the brand's existing offering due to the campaign itself. This is what I mean. So we have dispositional engagement. So here you have time. This is when the cross-selling campaign occurs. This is post-campaign, pre-campaign. Of course, for as far as data goes, you have data only on the pre-campaign for the existing game. This we call the dispositional engagement with game A. What happens afterwards, we call the situational engagement with game A. Similarly, we have situational engagement with game B. That's the effect on game B. This is the effect on game A. And both of them together, we call total engagement or the net effect. In this research, we plan to investigate the impact of a cross-selling campaign on the situational and the total engagement of customers with varying levels of dispositional engagement in a lower risk purchase context. This is what we have. We have a cross-promoted game or a new game. People can join this game through two channels. One is the cross-selling campaign. So we have an existing game. We expose some of them to a cross-selling message. We also keep a control group without the cross-selling message. We also have all the acquisitions, user acquisitions that occur outside of the cross-selling campaign. We call this the organic adoption. So all non-cross-selling acquisitions. Now, so you can be acquired in two ways, cross-selling versus organic. However, when you join, you randomly either get a incentive that's like an onboarding incentive or not. The incentive across the two groups is the same. So in a way, you have a 2x2. You're acquired either cross-selling or organic. And when you're acquired, you either receive an onboarding incentive or don't. This study has three parts. In the first part, we want to investigate the impact of the in-app message on the cannibalization with the existing game and on the engagement with the existing and cross-promoted games. So total engagement. Then we want to look at the effect of the acquisition channel. Here we compare cross-adopted with organic. We take into account the response to the incentive as well. And lastly, we want to look at the effect of cross-adoption on the cross-promoted game itself. First, we look at the effect of cannibalization. We find that the cross-selling message itself doesn't have an effect on the situational engagement of the existing game. So we find no evidence for cannibalization whatsoever. Next, we want to look at the effect of the cross-selling and cross-adoption on total engagement. Here, we first try modeling cross-adoption, whether users who received the cross-selling message decided to cross-adopt or not. We look at their basically their dispositional engagement. We find that if dispositional engagement is high, you are more likely to cross-adopt. Then we look at the effect of cross-adopting while controlling for dispositional engagement on the total in-app time and in-app purchase that they spend in both games together. And we find that if you cross-adopt, your total engagement of the brand, meaning the engagement that you have with the existing game and the new game, actually increases. Next, we investigate the effect of the acquisition channel type on engagement. What we find is that cross-selling is multiple times more beneficial to the company than the organic users. In fact, we find that cross-movers converted from free to paid significantly more, almost 800% more times. And they spent more times, almost 1000% more time. However, in-app incentive has a positive impact on situational engagement for organically acquired users and a negative impact for cross-selling users. That's interesting. Next, we want to look at the effect of cross-adoption on the existing game. So if you're a user of the existing game and you receive a cross-promotion campaign and you decide to cross-adopt and go play the new game, how does that affect your engagement with the existing game? For this, we did a propensity score matching. We matched users who cross-adopted with users who received the cross-selling message but did not cross-adopt. What we find is that cross-adoption actually increases the situational engagement with the existing game as well. So if you cross-adopt as compared to those who do not cross-adopt after propensity score matching, we find that in-app time and in-app purchase in the existing game also increases. So here we link theory to practice. We find that in lower risk contexts, managers should look for opportunities to cross-promote new products and categories to customers without fear of cannibalization. We find that users who already have high dispositional engagements should be encouraged to try new products. However, onboarding incentives should be targeted to new users acquired organically and not those acquired through the cross-selling campaign. And cross-adoption is likely to re-excite a user's attention to the initial product and increase situational engagement of the existing game. What are some of our limitations? Well, the key limitation is that the results are based on one field experiment with one brand and 2 freemium mobile games. So it's just based on one study, even though it's a large scale, a randomized field experiment. This is based only on freemium mobile games. It might be the case that if it's a utilitarian setting as compared to a hedonic setting, you find different things. And these 2 games, even though they were different, they were based on similar underlying stories. It might be interesting to test how the similarity of the cross-promoted products impacts the results of the study. And there was no variation in the onboarding incentive across users. It might be interesting to study the incentives at different levels. These are what we think are opportunities for future research. This is my contact information. Feel free to, this is my mobile phone and my email address. You can feel free to contact me if you have any questions or comments about this research. Thank you for your attention. Bye.